Has there ever been a more fitting time for that song? Hello and welcome back to the Gooners, our open mic show following, wait for it, just wait for it, our 3-1 victory over Tottenham Hotspurs. Jared, smile on your face and what's your sort of initial reaction to that?
Oh, it was beautiful today. And I think I'd mentioned to you in WhatsApp, I was actually watching the game at a buddy's house who is a diehard Tottenham Hotspur fan. So to not only watch the win, but to be able to sit there and just look at his face as it happened was absolutely glorious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, front row seat. You'd pay for tickets like that. And at least he stayed for the entirety of the game, not like those other fucking idiots that made the trip to the Emirates and then left after the first 2 goals hit the back of the net. But as I said, this is the our open mic podcast. So if you basically want to join us, head to www.gooneropenmic.com and we'll get you on the show. There's a little bit of a backlog in our red room at the minute, but we'll get through it nice and quick and get everybody on, and you can let your feelings known. It's a good day. But look, let's get stuck into it, and we're going to take in Aston. Aston, how's things, buddy?
Bruh, you want energy? You want me in a good mood? You put in a performance like that, okay? Mm-hmm. If there is an Arsenal fan that is negative right now, I'm sorry. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. That was brilliant. I hate Granit Xhaka, and even I'm positive. And he started today, and I'm still happy.
Yeah. See, well, that's actually a good place to start. Let's dive in there, because initially when the team sheet did come out, there was, I would say, it was pretty divisive, 50-50 maybe, I would say, over the inclusion of Granit Xhaka. Do you think that his individual performance has sort of paid dividends to Mikel Arteta's decision? Do you think that decision has been backed up?
Oh, absolutely not. I think he was the worst person on the pitch, and I think we were carrying him. But I just am so happy about the result that I don't care. I think that this was probably going to be a little bit of a learning thing for Mikel, because I think why Xhaka came in, and which is why everybody's going to justify it, is at the end of the day, he's a veteran player. He's played in the North London Derby, and this is a different game. So I understand the justifications for his selection. I just think on the pitch, Xhaka was a little Xhaka-y. He did a lot of fouls that we got away with today, and I'm just going to, be happy about that. So,
yeah, and it's funny you say even off the ball. I think at times he was. I think at times he almost made me bite my fingernails, but maybe that was just my misconception of what Granit Xhaka has previously done to us. But when you look at maybe the first goal, Aaron Ramsdale gave what some would say is maybe a suspect ball into Granit Xhaka's feet, and he seemingly made the most of it, and that led to our first goal. So, but here's something that was on my mind right from the start, okay? And it's that, is it important not just to win, and especially against Spurs, but to win in a certain manner? And for me, it all started with a challenge very, very early on in the game from Ben White, a real sort of high slide tackle to get the ball back. Mm-hmm. Is it important to win in a certain manner, or are you just happy to sort of see those points on the board?
Well, go ahead, Jared.
I was going to say the points are obviously paramount. That's the main concern. But I think all of us, and for a couple of seasons now, have been wanting to see more free-flowing, good-looking football from Arsenal. So to have both the win, the good-looking performance, and it being the North London Derby is kind of the perfect storm for all of us who have been crying out for performances like that.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, let's be honest, it's not just the free-flowing football. The free-flowing football is great. We've had neat and tidy players over there. There was power in that performance. For the first time in years, we lined up with Partey, Xhaka, Gabriel, and Tomiyasu and Tierney, and no one was going to bully them today, and no one was going to bully Arsenal today. And that's the performance that we want. I mean, it was immense. Can we talk about Super Tom for a minute? Like, he was absolutely everything today.
Oh, he was everywhere. I mean, what a revelation he's been. A guy we signed who, I knew nothing about, had never seen him kick a ball. And, you're always kind of hopeful with the new guys that, maybe they'll come in and hit the ground running and look okay. He's looked fantastic. He's been a highlight of the team, all the games he's been here. And I think, he plays a big part in the system we want to play, letting Tierney go forward as often as he wants. Tomiyasu is the guy who kind of facilitates that, being able to drop back and fill in that space. So he's been a godsend, I think, early on in the year. He's looked great.
My favorite part about this game,
and he's like absolutely never gonna lose an aerial duel. He's
Mhm.
seemingly, I think he's literally won almost 100% of his aerial duels. It's ridiculous, the
80.
statistics that he's put. Yeah, more. I think they said on TV it was something like 93% of his aerial duels have been won, which is like Virgil van Dijk figures in terms of aerial duels. But Aston, I think as much as an impact on our right hand side that Tomiyasu's had, I think that he's having a positive impact on Ben White. You know,
Mhm.
Ben White is somebody who I think, look, you're never going to get away from the price tags. But that aside, he came into criticisms for some of his performances so far this season. Do you think that what did you make of his performance today? And do you think that maybe Tomiyasu counteracts some of the weak points that Ben White might have that he's exposed by?
Oh, well, it's really obvious that what Arteta does is we actually kind of form a back three. Often like they kind of work as like they're not a back three in like how you would normally see a back three, but they're a back three in form. You see Ben White kind of take the ball and he's the ball playing defender, and Tomiyasu and Gabriel kind of do the cleanup and breaking up of play. What I love about this, what you're pointing out, is every single time Tottenham tries to switch the play to the right, there's a Tomiyasu header that stops it. And it's wonderful. And my favorite part of the game was watching Son, who has never played against this guy before, right? And he's trying stuff. And talking about the first 15 minutes, Son is just doing everything on the right-hand side. And by the 65th minute, I just see every time Son takes the ball on the right-hand side and sees Tommy in front of him, he just gives up. He just gave up. He just turned around, passed the ball back, knew he was going nowhere. It was fantastic to watch.
And Jared, when you look at, not initially at the start of the game, I'm jumping forward slightly here, but just to sort of to bring the comparison into play here, when you look at his counterpart later on in the game of Emerson Royale coming on, who, let's face it, myself among the majority of Arsenal fans were saying, why doesn't Arsenal make a move for this guy? Do you think that this is a lesson with Tomiyasu and the comparison with him and Emerson, that we don't really need to go for these marquee signings, that sometimes it's just about getting somebody who's good enough to get the job done, forget about the bells and whistles, and just bring someone in with the right mentality?
Oh, 100%. I think going for the quote big name players oftentimes doesn't get you the results you're looking for. And I think he's everything we've wanted, and most importantly, he fits the system we play well. Emerson, just in general between the two, is obviously the more attacking of the two. Like that's much more his strength is getting forward than Tomiyasu's is. And already we've seen that it's just he kind of has been mediocre at best at Tottenham. We saw Zaha turn him inside out 3 or 4 times in that game. So I think it's really clear that, at least for us, forget who the better player is overall, or people can argue about that all day long, but the best player for our team, which is what's actually important, is clearly Tomiyasu, because he fits the system we want to play much better than Emerson would, and that it frees up Tierney on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I want to pick up on what you're just saying right there, what I think is really important, and what we have all struggled to kind of say out loud, and what all fans right here were putting under a microscope. Hats off to you, Edu. Good job. You did it. I actually did nothing but complain about every single transfer that's come through and everything that Edu has done, and yet you're here proving me wrong. Tomiyasu is class. Ben White looks like the new Virgil van Dijk. We've got a new Rambo in the back. Partey isn't a midfield boss. He's a midfield daddy because Spurs were his bitch today. And then Odegaard, we signed an $80 million player for $35 million, and it showed today on the pitch. My God, Edu, what a great job you have done. Regardless on how you feel about Arteta, I think these players are the players. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And Aston, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave it there just because we're getting a bit of a backlog here. I know that you're that much of a legend that you'll understand that. No, but we've really enjoyed having you on, buddy. And as always, very well thought out points and very well put across. Where can we all find you, mate?
Don't forget, you can find me at Gooner Aston. Very small Twitch, but I did it. I mean, not Twitch, Twitter, but I did it just for this podcast. So
well, we appreciate it. Probably one of the most regular guests we ever have on.
Absolutely.
Love you guys and love what you're doing.
You too, buddy.
Likewise.
Guys, real quick. What do you think of Tottenham?
Shit. Good man. Thanks, Aston. I'm sure we'll see you in the chat during the rest of the show. Cheers, buddy. Brilliant, Aston. Brilliant as always. I'm not sure whether my internet is really bad or what's going on with the stream, but I'm getting a bit of lag just visually on the screen. But hopefully that's not coming through to you guys, and I'm sure Jared will keep me updated if it does.
Yeah. So far, so good on our end. So I think you're doing all right.
That's all right. Nobody gives a shit after a performance like today's anyway. But speaking of somebody who will 100% give a shit is Colin. Colin, how's things? Green screen.
What's up, Colin?
Not even you turn your green screen on for Tom Canton and fucking Harry Simu, but we're not worth your fucking while.
No. It's not, bro. It's not that. I'm using my phone. That's why. If I was using my laptop, the green screen would be on. But
no, that's not too
bad. Listen, right? Let's just get straight to it. Yeah. No one has been more critical of our recruitment more than me. Mm-hmm. Nobody. Right? Don't believe what anyone else tells you because they're all chatting shit. Now, what I will say, right? That performance was easily the best this season. Not even close.
I would say I actually mentioned in our Gooner Talk WhatsApp group that I think that's the best. That first half is the best performance I've seen in years, including the away victory at Old Trafford. Last season it was absolutely fantastic, but yeah, you reckon you're sort of thinking along the same lines of that level of performance, Colin?
Yeah. And look, I'll admit it, I've got no complaints about the performance, right? The only complaint I've got is the referee, right? And the reason being is their goal came from Granit Xhaka going down injured. Now in that situation, the referee has to have more control to protect the player, because the referee's job is to protect all the players on the pitch. Now, if that goal was the other way around, let's just say we scored a goal up their end similar to that, does it get chalked off? In my opinion, yes. Mm-hmm. So my only issue is I want to see more consistency with the referees. If a goal like that would be chalked off for us, it should be chalked off for Tottenham.
Yeah.
That is my only complaint. Outside of that, which it's not even a complaint about us, to be honest, it's more of a general refereeing complaint. Because I don't think you can complain about a single. Well, no, I wouldn't even complain about Xhaka, to be honest, because.
See, just while we're on the topic of officiating, Colin. Talk to me about the penalty claim that Spurs had. Harry Kane going down via challenge from Ben White. Do you think that maybe the Spurs fans are slightly entitled to feel a little begrudged by the lack of decision and the lack of interference from VAR? You know, what is your take on that? Was he going down already, or?
It's difficult to say, really, because I mean, all right, if you're looking at that isolated incident, Ben White doesn't get the ball; he gets Harry Kane. So in that instance, I can kind of see why they would go, we should have had a pen. Mm-hmm. Right? However, equally, as I mentioned before, they should have had a goal chalked off because Granit Xhaka went down injured. So it swings the roundabouts, mate. Yeah. Like the amount of times I've never criticized a referee for a bad performance from us. And the reason being is I believe that if we play to the best of our ability, then the referee won't be a factor. Mm-hmm. We did play well today, right? And again, this is one of the few times I'll criticize the referee because the lack of control from the ref led to a goal from them. That's the only time you'll hear me criticize a referee. Because again, if we play to the best of our ability, referees won't be a factor. Because again, blaming a referee most times, it's a cop-out, bruv. It's a cop-out. Like, if you play to your best ability, then no referee can do anything that will impact that.
I agree, and I think I actually like the way it's kind of trended this year of let the play go, and if it's a clear and obvious error, let VAR get involved and make the decision, rather than because I think in that case, if it's called a pen, it's never getting overturned. I mean, they're going to stick with what's there unless it's something, that's obviously missed. So I'm very much a fan of the way it's gone this year. The idea of just let the play go out. If it's something clear and obvious, they're going to see it. They're going to, get in his ear and let him know, and you can come back and make the adjustment. Similarly, it didn't go in our favor, but I thought the same held true when Gabriel got knocked down in the box off when Obama tried to head it back into the middle from a really nice ball in from Odegaard. That was one that I know there was a lot of noise. People wanted the pen on, but I was okay with the decision to let it play. If it's something that they come in and look at it and say it's obviously a pen, we have to go back and change it, then we'll change it. And we saw in this game, it balances out over time, just like it balanced out in those two situations. So it didn't end up impacting the game one way or the other. But as a general matter, I would much rather see that where we have the no call both ways than having a pen both ways, because, the pen should be for very obvious penalties. I just don't like the idea of having something that's sort of arguable or in the middle being called a pen, just because it has such an outsized impact on the game.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I was fine in both cases with it going on.
It wasn't like, all right, you can say that Ben White didn't get the ball, but like equally, you could say the same. You could say the same about the Xhaka incident.
Mm-hmm.
You could say the same about the Gabriel incident.
Gabriel is that one spot on, buddy. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Colin, the last subject I want to cover, because you seem like the type of person that I think would get behind this sort of thing, which is Aaron Ramsdale. A lot of sort of preconceptions before he came in, people saying that the price tag was far too high for a number 2, which we thought he probably was going to be, but something not just about his ability, one absolutely outstanding save from him, but the passion that that guy possesses, the ability to connect with the fans while celebrating goals, the ability to bring confidence to his backline, which I think Leno doesn't seem to have. Do you think that this passion is something that we maybe undervalued whilst looking for new signings? And do you think Aaron Ramsdale is somebody that has vastly improved our squad when it comes to that department?
What I will say is, Leno, you're done. Okay, you're done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Leno, right, and you know this as well, but I've always referred to him as the 2011 Chesney, right? And there's a reason for that, because when he's in goal, he doesn't inspire confidence. You see the difference with Ramsdale. Like, the back line is more at ease with Ramsdale. Now, look, I'll hold my hands up. I was one of the few that questioned I was one of many, actually, that criticized the signing of Aaron Ramsdale, right? And it had nothing to do with his ability as a footballer. It had nothing to do with that. What it had to do with was I didn't understand why that we were signing squad players before first-team starters. And at the time, that was a valid opinion, because if you ask anybody else, of all the signings we made, how many of them were guaranteed first-team starters at the time? None of Odegaard, definitely. But outside of that, not many of them, right? So the criticism was valid. Let's not try and change history and say, no, that criticism was unjust. No, it was perfectly valid. So let's not rewrite history in that sense. Mm-hmm. The one thing I've always said, right, I want this team to prove me wrong. Mm-hmm. It's the one thing I've always said about this team. If Aaron Ramsdale comes in and he smashes it, I've got no issue with that. If Ben White comes in and he kills it, no problem. If Lokonga does well, great. No problem with that whatsoever. If Odegaard does what he's been doing on a consistent basis, by all means, I'm all for that. I'm all for it. But like I said, let's not rewrite history. Let's look at things as they were at that time. Because the criticism of Edu and Arteta at the time was valid. Mm-hmm. No one can tell me it wasn't, because it was. Okay?
And last one before I let you go, Colin. I'm actually going to start asking everybody this question. Aston will be back on shortly, so I'll get around to asking him this. I would describe. Let me make this clear. I think that the majority of people that watch this on a regular basis know my stance, which was that it's likely. I think it would be likely better for the club to have a change of manager. I think that Mikel Arteta's track record has led me to stand in a position where I couldn't see him progressing or picking us up from this dump. But what I would say is that between the Norwich, Burnley and today's game, what it has done is not only just in a result sense, but the style I seen from Arsenal today and the manner in which they played, I would almost describe it as a stay of execution until Christmas for me. That's after those performances that I'm now saying, okay, and call me a flip-flop, call me what you want, but I'm just, as you said, I'm open to having my mind changed, which is that now I'm on board until Christmas, and then I will revisit my stance at that time. Where are you now? Because I think, would I be right in guessing that you were of a similar stance of mine before this game?
Thing is, right, my mind hasn't changed off this one game.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't, right? Because I still remember how bad those first 3 games were, right? And if you really want to go back at it, right, don't get me wrong, he's done well to get 9 points. Like, you know, fair play to him for that. I'm always someone that will give credit where credit's due, okay? But at the same time, we cannot forget where we were before that. Like, because there's especially after yesterday, right? There was a big agenda, especially amongst Arsenal fans, that all of a sudden our defeat to Brentford didn't seem so bad because they drew with Liverpool. Complete horseshit. Complete horseshit. If you watch that performance against Brentford at the beginning of the season, you know it was bad. You know it was bad. So again, it's like I mentioned with the signings earlier, right? Don't try and change history to suit your agenda, because that performance against Brentford was bad. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. All right? But I'm not full. Look, I've not changed my mind about Mikel Arteta, right? I still think he needs to go. That's my own personal opinion. You can hate on me if you want. I don't really care. However, if we go on a run, then I'm open to my mind being changed, right? Because, like before, I was of the stance that wait until Arteta gets his players in, and then when I see what was happening after that, it was like, well, hold on a minute, something ain't right. New information makes you change your mind. I hate it when people say, oh, you're a flip-flop just because you change your mind on a matter. New information makes you reassess things. Just because you change your mind on something, because you've had new information brought to the table, that doesn't make you a flip-flop. If anything, that actually makes you stronger, because you've proved that you're willing to admit that you're wrong. Say Arteta goes on an incredible winning run, right, of like 9 to 10 games, right? Would that not make me change my mind on Arteta? Mm-hmm. I think it would have to. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I don't see that as a problem. If anything, I see that as a positive, because that would say that I'm open to my mind, you know, changing and me being proved wrong. So again, I don't see an issue with that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, as always, Colin, absolute pleasure, buddy. Let everybody know where they can find you. I'm not sure whether you're still pumping out content at all, or
I'm probably the most hated man in the YouTube scene now. Well, listen, if you want to subscribe to Much Arsenal, you can do. If you just type it in on the YouTube search bar, you'll find it. No worries. And if you want to follow me on CMuch at CMuch91, you can if you want. But again, don't think I'm going to not be an outspoken individual, bruv, because look, if
there's one thing we can guarantee, it's that Tottenham are shite and that Colin will throw it you away.
While I'm on it, right, because something really is pissing me off, right? I know I'm going off topic, but I'm sure you've noticed this, right? All the media, yeah, are saying that the only reason Arsenal won today is because Tottenham played poor. No, fuck off. Fuck off with that. All
That's
right?
the anti-Arsenal agenda.
We made Tottenham look bang average. Right? And Gary Neville saying that Tottenham should have had the Hurricanes should have had 2 or 3 goals in the pen. Bro, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Bro, nah. And also, Graham Souness, bruv. The most bitter man, like, I swear, it's again, it's like
back in his day, bro.
Oh my god, like especially with the foul, man. Seriously, like with the Xhaka foul, yeah. Guarantee you, not one media outlet will say that's a foul.
Yeah,
not one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Colin, we're gonna have to jump over to Arjeet here because I think he's been on his phone data for ages, and I myself know how expensive phone data can get. So, as I said, an absolute pleasure as always, buddy, and we look forward to having you on again.
Bro. Speak soon, yeah?
Speak soon, man. Cheers, Colin. The fantastic Colin, as always. You may not agree with everything he says, but we'll keep it nice and polite in the chat, please, people. Next up, I hope I'm getting this name right because I'm seeing it in our chat box all the time. Arjeet, am I right in saying Arjeet?
Yeah, it's right. It's right. You got it right.
Yeah. Arjeet, give me your initial reaction to what was an absolutely fantastic display from the boys in red.
Yeah, actually, I was surprised by how good we were. I was expecting like a tight game, but we completely blew them away in the first half. And I think all of us will agree that we would like to see this kind of intensity from the team, like a bit more regularly. But it's a good starting point. This kind of win.
See on the performance itself. I think 2 players that stood out. Well, for sure, they stood out. They were both on the score and assist sheet. Was Emile Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka. I had the criticism of them, and I would say a healthy criticism because I absolutely adore them as much as everybody does. But I had the criticism that neither of them really gave us a statistical output. They didn't produce enough goals or assists. Do you think today maybe could be a step in the right direction in terms of upping those numbers? And do you expect more from them this season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at the Burnley game, both of them missed chances, especially ESR. Like he had 2 or 3 good chances, but he just couldn't stick it in. Today, yeah, they were much more clinical, and their like final decision was better. So yeah, hopefully they can step up as the season carries on and get a bit more better numbers.
Yeah, and I think part of that too is the move of Pepe to the bench and Saka to right wing. Every time he's been over there, he's been exceptionally lively. We saw him playing for England, was a very important piece this summer, and just looks a different player over there at times. So I think that's a big part of it too, is just putting him in a position where he's most likely to be successful. And you saw it today. He played a great game. That move also allows Smith-Rowe into the starting lineup because as good as all those other guys are, Smith-Rowe, Saka, I think the one guy that is the first name on the team sheet for Mikel Arteta is Martin Odegaard in the middle. I think that's his guy. He looks at him as a very important key piece of the team. So that being the case, the only way that Smith-Rowe is kind of going to consistently start is if Pepe's on the bench with Saka on the right. So it's kind of a chain reaction, but certainly one that worked out in our favor today because everybody I just mentioned played an absolutely phenomenal game.
And Jared, just because you brought him up, I'll throw this question to you. Is Martin Odegaard, some would say that he didn't have the most standoutish of games in terms of defense splitting passes or some of the things that we've seen from him, but in terms of his pressing, which is absolutely phenomenal. And not only that, I think that he's somebody who could potentially go under the radar in certain games because to me he's the drummer of the band, the one who sets the rhythm, the one who creates the tempo to let the lead vocalist and guitarist go out and steal the spotlight. Do you think that what did you make of his performance today? And do you think that maybe people are overlooking just what impact he has to the team?
I think at times he gets overlooked because he's not getting the scores and assists like you said on the sheet, but I'm in complete agreement. I think he's kind of the key piece that makes the team go and helps everybody. He really connects that play for moving the ball forward. And for the price we got him, we're going to look back in a few years and talk about what an unbelievable deal he was. Because I think he's potentially a future captain of the team, one the other players respect. He's vocal. He understands positioning well. and he's good on the ball and retains possession relatively well, and just knows how to get other players involved. And he makes the type of plays that get the crowd into the game. And that's something when we touched on with Ramsdale earlier too, kind of that passion and fire and getting the crowd into it. And that has kind of an underappreciated impact at times. We look at last year when there was no fans in stadiums. The home field advantage was basically negated when you looked at wins and losses versus home or away. It was relatively even. Seasons you have fans in there, it's a massive difference. It's such an advantage, and that's the reason why, is because when the crowd's in the game, it has an impact on the players, and having guys that make those plays that get everyone involved kind of carries over and helps the rest of the team and lifts everybody up too. So for me, Odegaard is, outside of Thomas Partey, the most important player in Arsenal's team this year, and he may be kind of on that same level.
And RJ, speaking of the player that Jared just mentioned there as arguably the most important player that we have, Thomas Partey. What did you make of his display today? The energy, the dynamism in midfield, the ability not just defensively, but his capability of playing one of those crossfield passes.
Yeah, it was a very good all-around performance. I think criticism he received last season was a bit over the top, to be honest. Like he was never fit for a long time, and it obviously affected his performance. But today it was like an all-around performance from him. He was spraying balls left, right, and center. He carries it well, and also defensively he was solid. So yeah, pretty good performance.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of somebody who would be almost described as an understudy to Thomas Partey, and who some would like to be the replacement for Granit Xhaka, Sambi Lokonga coming on today. Do you think that in comparison to Granit Xhaka today, that when you put those two aside, do you think that he's ready to be the replacement for Granit Xhaka, or do you think that Xhaka's performance today further backs up Mikel Arteta's point of maybe that Sambi just isn't ready to fill those boots?
Today he had like one or two tackles, which I think he got too excited when he came on, Sambi. But yeah, I think looking at his past performances, like in the starting games of the season, I think he can be ready for at least like games against like teams which don't tend to dominate us. Like smaller teams, at least I think he can do it. In the big games, we'll have to see. Yeah, but I think at least for some games against teams in which we are supposed to dominate the ball, I think he can do a job.
Absolutely, mate. And then just finally, before we let you go, Arjit, I'll throw you the same question that I did to Colin. Mikel Arteta, do you want him to stay? Do you want him to go? Is it like I would describe as a stay of execution, where you're willing to give him a bit more time now after the recent form?
Yeah, like many others, like I was really rethinking about Arteta after the City loss, which was a big loss. And also last season, I was a bit unsure. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you about the stay of order part, stay of execution part, because I think like we have to see in the next like maybe 6, 7, 10 games what kind of form we have, and after that we can make a decision. It certainly helps that like we have won like 3 games in a row, so it will help with the confidence. And I think now finally I think he has something of a set 11, which I think it does, because like last season there were so many rotations, we didn't seem to have any stability. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Absolutely, you made some very, very good points there, Jade. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you, if you have social media, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at akjray007.
Yeah, perfect, buddy. Perfect. And we'll be happy to welcome you back on our next Open Mic show, and hopefully under the same kind of circumstances.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks, man, for inviting me.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Arjit.
sure. Thanks, Arjit. See you, buddy. Arjit, ladies and gentlemen, perfect. Mike Feinberg, mini Mike Feinberg, Jake Feinberg, will be on for the next maybe half hour, 40 minutes, Jake. So if you can get yourself in front of a computer screen and get yourself on, you can be the understudy and maybe an improvement to your drunken father. So we'll look forward to that. But we're going to jump over now to our next guest, Rich. Rich, welcome to the Gooners podcast.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, Rich?
Not much.
Had to retire the Willie on shirt, so it's a soccer shirt.
Well, look, do you want to know what? Like, everybody laughs at that now. The fact that you have this Willian shirt, okay, but the one thing I will say is that 50 years from now, there's going to be very limited amount of Arsenal jerseys with Willian on the back. So I think you, sir, have a collectible in the making.
It's gonna hang in the closet. It's
Yeah. Rich, your initial reaction today, how you feeling after that? Obviously, big thing to beat Spurs, but not only beat Spurs, but beat them in such a fashion.
It was great a game. I don't know. When I saw the team sheet and I saw Jacques on the team sheet, I was like, oh shit, here we go. And honestly, he wasn't bad. I mean, he wasn't great, but he's Jacques. That's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the kids got involved. Goal from Smith Rowe, goal from Saka. You love to see that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to echo what you said about Arteta, it's like, you know what? It's kind of a stay of execution, because let's give him time. And the more time that went on and the more we played like terrible, it was like, yeah, no. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're ahead of them on points. So there's that. I mean,
that's it. Yeah, we're climbing the table right to the top. But Jared, as Rich mentioned there, the stay of execution, I think probably the thing that most people were pleasantly surprised about today was the style in which Arsenal won. That's something that Mikel Arteta has been scrutinised over, is this lack of style. What did you see today in particular, stylistically and tactically, that you think was a massive improvement?
Well, I think one of the main things we have kind of a collection of things that have all kind of led to a really good performance. Those first 3 games, when you look at our midfield pivot and back 4 and goalkeeper, we've probably changed 5 of those 7. I mean, Gabriel's back from injury, Ben White's back from COVID, Thomas Partey's back, we signed Tomiyasu. So there's just, first of all, been a massive upgrade in talent in those areas. And I think you have to have a certain talent level to play the way that Arteta wants to play, ideally, which is closer to what we saw today. I think when you're lacking the talent to do that, it really showcases some of those players' individual inadequacies, and of course gets everybody upset. But as far as where we were then and now, I'm somebody that I didn't expect us to do much at the beginning of the year. I think when we were doing the preseason podcast, I said, Brentford's a newly promoted side with a home game. It's going to be a crazy environment to play in. I think they could take points off us, and then City Chelsea losses, it's not too unexpected. So you're 0 at the international break, but it wasn't, an outlier that was completely unpredictable by most of us. And now that we have the rest of the team together, the performances have improved, but I think a big part of that is we've seen basically the same 11 or 10 or 11, and guys have a chance to develop some continuity and a play style and just understand where each other is going to be. So the product, of course, is going to end up being improved. So I think it's just a combination of things. And like I touched on earlier, tactically, I think the addition of Tomiyasu is huge, and that he, with his ability to play in kind of a center half role of a back 3, or in his right back spot, allows Tierney to spend so much time forward and play in that sort of asymmetrical formation everybody's been talking about. But I think he's the key addition that kind of helps, like he's a key cog in that wheel that allows us to do what we want to do going forward and frees up the space for all those young guys to really do what they're doing well and allow Tierney to put all those good crosses in. So I think it's a combination of tactics and the addition of talent, and just those guys having a chance to gain some experience together, kind of all coming together at a really good time. If you're an Arsenal fan, you've been crying out for a good performance. What better way than to go out and bag 3 in the first half against Spurs and just completely embarrass them on national TV. So it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And Rich, something that Jared touched on there was the back 4. We all long for the days of that old classic Arsenal back 4. That was so solid. But when you look at the members of that back 4, Takahiro Tomiyasu, relatively unknown before coming in. Ben White, people thought it was a lot of money for a centre back from Brighton. Gabriel was another one who was relatively unknown, and then Kieran Tierney as well. To my surprise, relatively unknown. When you look back at the transfer window beforehand, okay, when you take into account all those players, as we say, unknown, and then you look at players like Ramsdale and Sambi Lokonga, people had these ratings of transfer windows, 3 out of 10s and 4 out of 10s and stuff like that. what was your sort of reaction to the transfer window when it closed, and has that changed since, now that you've seen these players being given a chance and the impact that they've had on the side?
Well, I honestly think that I was kind of a transfer windows 5, 6 out of 10. And then, I don't know, Ramsdale's played out of his head. I mean, the dude has been completely solid in that back. I mean, and quite frankly, Bird who? because Ramsdale's been that good, backstopping that back four. And I mean, I'm not going to say that back four is, Dixon, Tony Adams. It's not the '89 Arsenal back four that won the league. But they're solid. They do their jobs. And I mean, Tomiyasu, I'd never heard of the guy until, we signed him on deadline day. And I'm like, who is this guy? And I'm like, all right. Then, a couple games in, I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. I'm really impressed. I mean, Ben White, he has time to grow. Gabriel, also young. I mean, this back four, age-wise, they're 24?
I think
average
Tierney's
age
the senior man at 24, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a back four that's...
Gabriel's 22, 23, Ben White's 23, Takahiro Tomiyasu is 20, I think.
I mean, these guys are young. It's, defenders don't come into their best until 29, 30? I mean, these guys are solid at this age. So, let's ride them and hope that nothing happens. But I mean, this is a solid back four. I mean, I think it's got the stuff, to be a legendary Arsenal back four.
They're very talented. And speaking of the age, I thought it was funny. It was after Xhaka went off, at least here stateside watching the game, the commentator made a comment of Aubameyang's had a lot of help from the youngsters. And I said, does he mean every single guy out there other than him? Because I think other than him, Thomas Partey was the only guy over 25 on the pitch.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign for us going forward, obviously, is they're playing at a decent level at this age. Give them some time together. Hopefully they'll grow into a team that, we're all hoping that they will. I just thought it was a funny comment that he referenced the youngsters when he basically that's everybody but him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the exciting thing now, looking at this squad, is that regardless of what happens within the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it is that the foundation is solid now for Arsenal, for anybody to come in and build from, whether that be Mikel Arteta or somebody else, that this squad really has the makings of something special. But what I'm going to do, Rich, is I'm going to let you go because we've got an honorary guest that will be joining us just for a few minutes, because I'm not sure how much alcohol has been consumed by this person. So,
oh boy,
I'll let you go. But do you want to let everybody know where they can find you, mate? You and your Willian jersey, not your address, just your Twitter handle.
Out on the Twitter, it's at rwilcox91 on Twitter, and give me a follow. I don't tweet much, and most of the time it's when we score goals. So. Hasn't happened a lot this year.
I'll not watch the games anymore. I'll just keep a keen eye on your Twitter for score updates from now on. But
yeah,
a pleasure, Rich, as always, buddy.
Absolutely on.
Yeah, cheers for joining us, man. See you soon. The fabulous Rich. So the next person we're going to take in is Michael, and not the Michael that you thought. It's other Michael. Michael, how's things, mate?
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're going good, buddy. Good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the honor of sharing the screen with somebody who's breaking his duck on this podcast. I'm not sure whether I actually really want to have this guy on, because he's obviously not a real fan, or else he would be at the stadium. So he's just plastic AF. Let me welcome Magic Mike. Magic Mike, how's things?
Hey!
Speaking of plastic, we got my plastic.
There he is.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that plastic you're drinking out of a plastic cup.
There's the original Mike.
I said, and I'm sorry to step on your thunder, Michael, but this guy's put me in this position. I can't do anything else.
It's all right.
I only want to pod anymore when we beat Spurs. Like you guys are doing a good job of handling this. So when we lose the next 5 games, you can do it. But like today, it's a beautiful day here in Virginia. It's a beautiful day in North London. It's probably shit weather in Newry because you're there, but look,
It's fucking, as we would say locally, it's fucking pissing.
I mean, look, Arsenal normally, when you think that we figured it out, we come out of this like 3-game winning streak and we shit the bed. I mean, that's what we do. And then when you think that like we're at our absolute bottom, we'll have a game that just plucks out of nowhere. And I mean, they are the contrarian team of all contrarian teams. Today, I felt confident going into the game, and that actually made me nervous and made me feel unconfident. So it was like having this whole situation where I'm like, confident. Why are you confident? But my God, I mean, they put that game to bed within 15 minutes. What a freaking performance by those guys today. Unbelievable.
Your audio quality is top notch.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Mike's joining us from underwater.
But while Mike sorts his audio out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this over to Michael. And Michael, somebody actually pointed this out in the chat. Somebody that we haven't even spoken about yet is another person who, surprisingly, at Arsenal came under a lot of heavy criticism of late. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, absolute captain's performance in my opinion. And I want to share something that I put into the WhatsApp group here. I'm not going to take the photo up the screen because that's going to take too long. What I will do is I'll show you this one. I have questions as to where the middle line in that slide trail came from.
That's the third leg. That's the third leg. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That guy got some balls. Yeah, but no, not only that, but from that picture, man, reminiscence of Thierry Henry's slide, who was in the crowd, so he potentially could have been paying homage. But do you think, how good was it to see Aubameyang get back on the score sheet, and what did you make of his performance?
Yeah, it was only fitting, for Aubameyang to have that type of performance, and I believe they had some sort of, like knowledge. Maybe Henry went to see them before the match, so they knew was gonna be there watching them, So, personally for him, I believe he had to put in that kind of shift. It was a captain's performance. I mean, before the match, I was telling people, oh, I wanted him out, on the left. I wanted Lacazette up top, simply going by what we saw, by Lacazette against Wimbledon, right? But I saw the starting lineup and I just saw Pepe was out of there and I was good, because I felt, okay, the young kids were gonna, put in a shift. In all honesty, I wasn't expecting a blowout. I was expecting, us to just maybe scrape a draw or just have something to talk about, which is okay. Yeah, we did good, but they beat us at the end or something like that. But it was a captain's performance from Aubameyang. He put in a shift. Everybody was running back, which was what was funny. Although it was the alien boys, that were leading the charge as well as Odegaard. You feel Odegaard is also an alien boy, But Aubameyang, who like got in the funk, he actually saw what was happening, and he put in a shift I haven't seen him put in a long while. He run himself ragged to the ground. Like, I guess maybe because it's the Tottenham effect, not London Derby. We have that going for us and everything, but it was a great match. It was.
Jared, when Michael touches on there the fact that Aubameyang thrived today, do you think that was because there was a systemic change in how we were trying to use him? I think that Aubameyang has struggled in a sense playing with his back to goal a lot, which maybe favours Lacazette at a sense. But do you think there was a change today, a visible effort from the team and Mikel Arteta to try and play to Aubameyang's strengths by playing that ball in front of him and giving him the opportunity to run at defenders?
I do. I think it's a little bit of a realization of exactly what you said. The back to the goal player of the two is clearly Lacazette. And if you're going to play Aubameyang over him, you need to, kind of cater to him and do what's going to make him most effective. And I think that came out today. I think for his entire time here, he always feels kind of like I was going to say, I don't mean to sound negative, but I guess it is negative. A fair weather player. When things are going well, he seems upbeat. The tempo is there. He's making runs. He's really active, and the team is better for it. When the team's down, he sort of, he's out there going through the motions, but he just doesn't have that impact when things aren't going well. So a game like today, where it's a rivalry game, we start off flying. He's involved with a goal. Those are the games that make him look like the player he is when you realize the talent he has. because those are the games when he has an outsized impact and look great. And I know we talked about it. Michael touched on it. The slide, the looking like Henri. We'll have to come back around. I'd love to get both Owen and Michael your thoughts on multiple times during the game. We got to see Thierry Henry up in the box, sitting next to, of course, the guy who had to make it on TV, Daniel Ek from Spotify. Obviously, can't be an accident. Those two are sitting side by side, hanging out. What did you guys make of that?
Michael, take it away.
All right, it wasn't an accident. It was a signal of intent, if you ask me. Daniel Ek been there alongside Henri, which we know, was one of the people that were backing him, when they wanted to take over at Arsenal. And I'm pretty sure, even though they were fans, and you won't want your team to lose, it would have been a case of, oh, we came out here just so we could, tell you guys that we're really serious, about buying this thing in case we had lost, then they would have been there and the narrative would have been like, yes, we're showing our intent, and actually coming to games. We're not just, over the, like paper fans or stuff like that. But, the team put in an absolutely world-class performance. It was just like they were backing Arteta as well as backing, the owners, which are the Cronkies. So it worked well. It worked well for us as fans. It worked well for the team. Not so much for them, even though they're fans as well. But I mean, it is what it is. It's always good to see the legend, Thierry Henry, come to the stadium in any capacity. Be it scouting, be it, just enjoying the game, whatever it is. It's very, very soothing. And somebody mentioned it off of Twitter and they were like, Henry should come to every match now. And that's the kind of effect he had on the game. And one thing I wanted to mention before you asked that question was, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but all our like goals were off of counterattacks. And that was something that, and it was because we did take our chances, but that's like something that's been missing in, like the DNA of the team for a minute, where, you get like this little chances, but you tuck them away and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed the game, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, I think that is something that we have tried to implement under definitely two managers in Unai Emery and Mikel Arteta and Arsene Wenger at times as well. I think that the vast difference that you see in today's performance is that the individuals within that side are much more capable of playing out from the back, and today we saw the benefits of that in terms of drawing players in and essentially eliminating them from the game and implementing our strengths in terms of our pace on the counter as well. And to be honest with you as well, I think Nicola Pepe is another person who could thrive in a system like that. But lastly, Michael, before we let you go, the same question I've thrown to everybody: where are you standing on the manager at the minute? Are you happy with him at the minute, or are you sort of biding your time before you get back on the Arteta out train? Or
I would say that for a minute there, I'd lost like the love for the game. I'd lost the love for anything Arsenal related, which is why, I ultimately, came on this platform, because I wanted to feel the love back, even if it wasn't from the players, from fans that, we think alike and stuff like that, just so, we can like get in the groove. But going off of the three first matches, you said something before, and I think it was Jared that mentioned it. You said, yeah, the first game, Brentford, they just came from relegation, and Chelsea and Man City, we kind of expected that, which is normal, right? And if I was to ask anybody, we probably wouldn't have thought we would get 9 points off of the last three matches, plus our two Carabao Cup matches that we played. So right now I'm leaning kind of towards like a positive notion for Arteta. I'm kind of like Arteta back in right now, but we have to do it when we don't have stuff on the line, because like right now today I feel like we had stuff on the line, because we know it's a North London derby. There's pride at stake. It's a home game. You know, we had a lot riding on it. Anthony Joshua lost in you know, the toilet yesterday, so we wanted to rub it in again. You know, stuff like that. So we needed to make a statement today, and we did. But the beauty of it will be to replicate this, you know, in like the next 2 matches or 3 matches. And we have everything going for us in that we're not in Europe, you know? So I will tell you this again, maybe in like the next 2 or 3 matches where I stand 100%. But for right now, we could say like a 55-45, 55 for Arteta in, 45 for Arteta out.
Perfect. Very well explained, man. Very well thought out, as always. Michael, let everybody know where they can find you on the socials. And again, thanks for coming on, buddy.
I appreciate you. Yes, it's at Babajide, BABAJID 010 on Twitter, and Michael Aryo on Instagram. You guys can give me a follow.
100%, buddy. I will absolutely once the show ends. Again, thanks, Michael, for coming on, and we'll see you very soon.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Michael.
Right, we're about to get busy up in this bitch. This one's going to be fun. So I'm going to welcome back on Aston, who's been very kind enough to hang around. Second of all, I'm going to welcome back Magic Mike, who has hopefully sorted out his internet connection. And then next, the guest of honor, the guy who I've got some questions for, Jake Feinberg himself, the prodigal son, has returned. Jake, first of all, as somebody who I have quite a bit of evidence that is absolutely balling at the minute, photographical evidence. I have questions. I've already asked this question. Not sure if you've seen. In your opinion, Jake, where is that third line in the sliding trail coming from?
I don't know if I want to answer that question.
Are you sure? Maybe your father could shed some light upon it. Mike,
Yeah.
your expert insight.
Can I say it? Can I tell you what it is?
Absolutely, Austin. Yeah,
Yeah,
you feel
it's
like
his
you're-
massive dick. He had to take a goal after smashing Tottenham so hard for 45 minutes, and it just dragged behind him as he had to take its mighty girth from the goal to the corner flag, where he waved it in front of all the Tottenham fans.
I agree.
See, that's the thing. I have in front of me my Thierry Henry painting here, and I'm thinking that I might have to ring my auntie and ask her to paint me another one with the cockhole slide, which is much more impressive in my opinion.
I mean, can you hear me, by the way? I'm sorry about all the audio. I'm sorry for ruining my own podcast that you guys are running, but
It's much better now.
I
Much
think I've
better
got
now.
it sorted out now. I mean, I'm just surprised that middle line wasn't deeper.
The groundsman is going to be fuming.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for that, imagine how far he would have slid.
If it was Addison, they would have had to have abandoned the game for an unplayable pitch. By the way, how crazy is it that I've been working on this for 30 minutes? I come back on, and my son, unbeknownst to me, my son, unbeknownst to me, has just took it upon himself to come on the show. I love it.
I asked him on
And I can't-
because
I can't
we've got a
stop
feeling
him.
that
I can't stop him. He's 18 now. He's a man.
you can't stop him doing a lot of things, and in my opinion, again, pictorial evidence that he is indeed a man. So let's get a man's opinion on it. Jake, initial reactions to that monumentous victory over the Spuds.
Well, I said this in the comments earlier. I had my last homecoming dance last night, and I enjoyed this game more than that. I was watching this throughout the whole thing. It was just
Take my word for it. Take my word for it. This guy fucking enjoyed himself last night.
Yeah.
He enjoyed himself.
I was just seeing all the boys come together, and I've said this in the chat as well.
Are we talking about the homecoming dance or the game? Sorry, Mike.
Every time I see Smith Rowe, Saka, and Odegaard on the team sheet together, I feel like something's good is gonna happen. Sorry, because when Odegaard signed, I was nervous that Smith Rowe wouldn't be able to get into the team like he should, and the switch from Saka to the right side, like you guys talked about, I think is just gonna be so good for us, because I think going forward, if those three are starting every game, I don't see who we can't beat. Even these if we were to go play City and Chelsea again, those games that we lost in the beginning of the season, we didn't have this combination of players that the young talent in the back line. The back line is amazing. I love it. I don't want it to change at all. I would say the only thing I wanted to see in the beginning of the game changed was Lakanga in, and Xhaka played his part today as well, just like everyone else did.
Absolutely, and Mike, I'll come to you if you're still with us, buddy, because as somebody who's been following the Arsenal keenly, going to games live since 1934, something that we've massively lacked is the intensity, the physicality, and the ability just to show character. Do you think that really shone through above everything else today?
Yeah, I mean, this was a 90-minute game, and we haven't played a 90-minute game in a long time. I mean, the team looked up for it. Whatever Mikel Arteta said to them prior to the game clearly sunk in. We know when he came in that he could manage this team onto big games. We saw that in the Cup run. We saw that in a couple of important wins, I mean, including one against Spurs already in his tenure. The problem has been keeping this intensity and keeping the team believing in him, on a regular basis when we play Burnley, when we play Norwich. And, it is early. It's a small sample size. But what we've seen in the last month is the team gelling, the players in that need to be in, and the ability to both, to get it up for, for hot games and not hot games. I mean, if you can get it up for just about anything, then, sorry, Jake, but we got something special. So I don't know if that's the question you asked, because I can barely hear you, but
yeah, no, it's fine. Your audio is terrible. I have literally no visuals, so I've got no social cues whatsoever. So I'm probably coming across as really ignorant, which I am. Stefan Selby says
people are watching, and we don't really need to worry about that.
Yeah, I know. Well, we've got more, because Stefan Selby says, "Hi guys, YouTube automatically put me in here. I don't care how you got here, just as long as you're here."
It's the algorithm.
Yeah, that's it. He's not even a football fan. He's just some poor fucking dude that can't get away.
Stefan's just salty because he's being forced to look at the man who vanquished him in the FIFA tournament, and I'm not referring to myself. The youngster in the lower left-hand corner.
Jared, going back onto the game itself, the effort that was put in, as Mike mentioned, was absolutely phenomenal, I thought. But there seemed to be a few people that sort of started to show the signs of fatigue that we probably didn't want to see coming towards the end of that 90 minutes. Granit Xhaka seemed to have taken a bit of an impact knock. Bukayo Saka going down with cramp, and if I'm right as well, there was some very obvious signs as well that Kieran Tierney was struggling with cramp too. Any concerns going into the Brighton game next week that we may have some sort of high profile absentees after a huge effort that those guys put in through those 90 minutes?
Yeah, for Tierney and Saka, not so much. I think that just comes down a little bit to the way they play. They're just intense players, especially Tierney. I mean, he's going all out all the time. And I would much rather a guy go 110%, leave it all out there, and come off at the 75th minute than, sort of save a little bit just to kind of ration himself out and be able to make it the full 90. I mean, that's why we've got reserves. That's why we've got guys who can come on for them. And I thought the effort level was through the roof. I thought Odegaard kind of sets the tone with his pressing, and he just, even towards the end of the game, he was still dead sprint going at Lloris, trying to hurry them up and force some errors. The Xhaka one certainly didn't look good. You see it just kind of outside of a football play, just, a collision with Partey, and I think it was Mora, and he just hit him at an odd angle. So, you obviously hope it's nothing serious, but a lot of times when you see impacts like that, it ends up being something that takes a player out for a while. And if there's anything, this season that I've said that we need to succeed, it's just to stay healthy and have our players available and have a chance to sort of build something. So if he's out for a while, I know a lot of people are very happy to not see Granit Xhaka on the team sheet a lot, but you look at the defense, the midfield, and the attack, that's certainly the area that we're the thinnest in general. So if there's any place we don't need to lose a player for an extended period, it's in the midfield area. So we'll kind of wait and see what they say, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Xhaka back out there for quite some time.
Yeah.
Can I jump in there with you for a second there, Jared? I just want to bring up to your question, Owen. Am I nervous that Tierney, Saka, and Emile Smith-Rowe were showing signs of fatigue? Absolutely not, because Edu signed Tavares, and we have Martinelli, and we have Pepe. This is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. When was the last time you were able to say we could rest players and we had quality players to bring in instead of them? Like, this is actually the best problem we can have, and long may it continue.
Yeah.
We've basically won the league, haven't we? At this point,
clearly.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's a lock.
I mean, I think it's
We're only
over.
4 points off second, so
You guys play Miami, right?
Just, I mean, when you guys are ready, I got some people here, you know, and they'll crowd around me and like safe blood and fam and stuff if we need to, but like, you know, I don't want to get in your flow, but if you want to hear about Ramsdale, have we talked about Ramsdale yet?
I just wanted to ask Jake one question, and then we'll move over to your fan cam segment, Mike, if that's okay. Jake, do you think that is this a regular occurrence? You know, when you look at game days and stuff, is this a regular occurrence that your dad is down in the pub spending your school lunch money, your bread money, your inheritance, whatever, while you're stuck at home in your room and he's down there seemingly just getting off his nut?
I mean, for today, I can completely understand it. He's got fundraising to do, and I heard he did a great job.
That's a fucking shit excuse, really, isn't it? Come on.
That's a
long night last night. I could have gone down there with him if I wanted to.
That's well, you're 18 now. You can come over here and get fucked up, but you can't get fucked up over there. So, Mike, we'll hand over to you, and just as long as you get our allotted blood and fam and negative viewpoints in, we'll hand it over into your capable hands.
You talking to me?
No, the other Mike.
All right. So I honestly can't hear anything that you guys are saying, but
well, we can hear you. So let's get some opinions from our plastic fans in America.
All right. So the first plastic fan in America. This is my buddy John Horlick. He's been an Arsenal fan since he was born, which was 4 weeks before Michael Thomas scored at Anfield. Who's your man of the match today, and why do you love me?
All right, well, I'm going to start with the second question. I love Mike because he might actually be my biological father. Once, when we were both in London together, someone thought that he was my dad.
He did sling a lot of dick around in the 80s.
Yeah, there's a chance he might actually be my dad.
We're not going to talk about that in front of my other son.
Okay, Jake Paul, you might be my half brother. I'm breaking some news to you.
Yeah.
There's a chance here.
For the 16 of you that are watching, we're going to have a big therapy sesh after this.
My dad, you remember that movie where I think Ryan Reynolds is in it, where like he has that daughter and the mom is like one of three people? That's essentially my life.
Are you talking about Mamma Mia?
No, not that one. I think it's called Definitely Maybe or something.
Are we still playing a joke? Is this poor dude actually stuck in the Jerry Springer episode where he doesn't know who it is?
Yeah, we can't hear you from here. Hold on.
Okay, so anyway, man of the match is definitely ESR. I thought he was unbelievable today. Obviously, bagged the goal, but then also the assist he had on the Aubameyang goal I thought was phenomenal. He was just all over the place. Dude can play. He's a ball player.
We have end product from our quote unquote fail end players, don't we now? I mean, my God, I mean, like everything everyone's been saying about Saka and Smith Rowe is obviously they're talented, but we are just not seeing the same kind of numbers from them. The goals, the assists that we're seeing from other young players in the league, and today that ends. I mean, it's just one game, but they have goal front presence, and as long as they as long as they keep finding each other in those open positions, there's nothing anyone's going to be able to do to keep us from winning the Champions League this season. I'm not getting carried away, man. We can do it.
Yeah, and Mike, this is one that I'd like to throw over to your son Jake, because as somebody who got him into Arsenal, obviously, and Arsenal meaning so much to you, Jake, what does it mean for you to beat Spurs in a North London derby?
Well, unfortunately, when I was able to go to one with my dad, we couldn't win. But seeing it today, it means a lot because I think I heard Arteta talking about it before the game. But it's just like it's a different occasion when we play against Spurs, because sometimes, like not necessarily now because we're on a 3-game winning streak now, but when you're in a slump or something, when you play against Spurs or when you play against a big rival, everything changes. All the players are like hyped up. They're ready to go. And beating them is huge because now the players are ready to go for the next game, which is also going to be a tough one. We're playing Brighton next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've shown that they're a team to be reckoned with this year. So it's big. I think it's a big momentum push into the next game because this next game is a game that we need to win as well.
Hey Jake. Hey, listen. As you just found out that you may have a half brother out there, let me ask you this question: if you could replace your father with one Arsenal player that was on the pitch today, who would it be?
Oh my god!
Literally any of them. Jake would take
Don't
Xhaka as his
take
dad.
Xhaka, or you're not going to have that room anymore.
So what is this based on? Just like players I like?
I'm just asking who
you like the
you
most
personally would want to
honourable
be your father.
man on the pitch? Like, who has the characteristics of somebody that you would look up to more so than your own father?
That's a very low bar.
Well, we've talked about Xhaka in the past with the young guys. And like the recent...
Jake's like, who's that photographer that Mikel Arteta hugged at the end of the game? I'll take that guy.
Talking about Stewie? Yeah, Stewie would be a good dad.
Yeah,
I feel like even though we have our mixed opinions about Xhaka, we always do talk about the way that the young players play around him and the way that he like.
He's actually gonna say Granit Xhaka.
Well, no. Also, only because we'd have a problem if I chose any of the other guys because they're only like 4 years older than me.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
I've never gone from so proud of my son last night to so embarrassed to be.
Well, I'm saying
today,
things that you've said before about him as well. We don't like him so much as a person or as a player most of the time.
Let me just say this.
The correct answer is calm,
witty, sarcastic, and hard hitting. Where does he get that from? He didn't lick that up off the ground. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Tell you what, I'm gonna head out so that you guys don't have to keep dealing with me. There's a lot of people at the pub. We've been raising money for Gooners versus Cancer all day. It's been a great day. I got to actually pick the winner of a raffle in 15 minutes. It's not too late to get in. Go to goonersvcancer.com and there's a drawing coming up at the top of the hour. But guys, Owen, Jared, thanks for running this in my absence. I'm sure it's been much more enjoyable than the normal show that I run. And Jake, we'll talk about your future as a Feinberg. I may just replace you with Aston. All right, guys. Love you, man.
See you, Mike.
See you, Mike.
I don't know how the answer isn't obviously Thomas Partey. I mean, he was the daddy on the field again. He put every single Spurs player, sent them to their room today. So, and by the way, I just want to point out he's tough but fair, and I love that.
I think the only other reasonable answer of who is at the Emirates you'd pick is Daniel Ek, strictly for financial reasons.
Have you guys talked about that yet? Like, what was that about?
Well, we actually did sort of lightly brisk over that topic, Asim, but we'll throw it to you. What did you make? Do you think that was once again Daniel Ek on another sort of publicity stunt, or do you think that is a sort of statement of intent to be sat next to the king, Thierry Henry, at arguably our biggest fixture of the season?
No, I think the statement of intent was from Henry, because word on the street is Henry actually was in the dressing room before the game saying some words, and he chose where he could sit anywhere in the stadium. He sits right next to Daniel Ek. I think that if anything, that sends a beautiful message of Kroenke out, because guys, like I say every single podcast, as much as I enjoyed this game, as much as I enjoyed these new players, the only transfer that matters is Kroenke out.
I think the only problem with that is if Kroenke had the game on and it showed Henry, he probably didn't know who it was.
No. Jake, as somebody who plays football, like something we lightly covered there was the potential fatigue felt from a performance like that there. When we look at Arsenal, that performance is exactly what people demand from an Arsenal side. But as somebody who plays football, do you think that level of output is sustainable? Do you think that those physical demands are something that Mikel Arteta can expect from his team week after week?
I honestly do, because I feel like these guys, they train for this stuff. This is what they do. I feel like they should be fit for this every week. But I love seeing all these guys out there, and getting the cramps, like Aston said, I don't think it's a problem at all, because that's why you have players that can replace them. The suitable players like Pepe and like Tavares on the bench. I don't think it's a problem at all, and I love seeing the intensity that they're putting every week, because this is what they always do, and this is why they should be in the first 11 every week.
Yeah, and especially this year too, without European football, it's even less to worry about. We've got plenty of time to rest in between games, so they should have plenty of recovery before next weekend.
Yeah, exactly. That was the point I was just going to throw across. But lads, I think we're going to wrap up there. Thanks to everybody that's jumped on so far. I think it's been a very well balanced show. Some good points, some not so good points that people disagreed with in the chat, but they were all put across in a very respectful manner, which we always appreciate. Again, my visuals have been absolutely all over the place. Unsure why. I'll try to get that fixed, because social cues are something that you take for granted until they're missing. But again, thanks to everybody joining us in the chat. Jared, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you, buddy? And again, thanks for jumping on to co-host with me in the absence of the monumental character that is Magic Mike.
Oh yeah, always a pleasure. You can find me on Twitter at JC_NYE, and on here with Mike, Owen, Andy, Hernandez, the rest of the boys. And it's been a pleasure. Jake, Aston, always awesome when you guys are on. Love having you guys, and hope to see you back on the future open mics, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're two regulars on here, and hopefully that's my intent over time, is to shuttle the old guy out. Mike, he's getting it cognitively. I'm not sure he's all there at the minute.
See, Aston, that's the real transfer that matters. Magic out, Jake in.
Yeah, that's it. Get that Trenton people, Magic out.
Jake wear a shirt.
Yeah, speaking of getting that Trenton, Jake, where can people find you on Twitter?
So I've got my the Twitter feed on the screen right there. It's Arsenal J off on Twitter, and I don't tweet that much, but I'm sure if I can get involved with this more, I'll start on that.
That's you're low key AF.
Yeah.
Aston, thanks for hanging about, buddy. You were our first man on, and you're going to be the last person off. So that's dedication right there. Where can people get you at, buddy?
Yeah, you guys can find me at Gooner Aston. I said that a little earlier. The last word I do want to say to everybody out there is, guys, Gooners, everybody get together. It's been a rough couple of years. It's been rough, and there's been divisive, and whether you're this player in, this player out, this manager in, this manager out, we've all been at each other's throats. But today, it's a good reminder that form is always temporary, but class is permanent. And we are a class above Spurs, and that will never change.
Oh, that's so good.
Well said.
I can never come up with anything that nice to say before we leave. But the point that I will leave it on is this. Again, thanks to everybody jumping on, you boys especially, everybody in the live chat, anybody listening back through your comments down below. And we run these shows after every game. So keep an eye on our Twitter page for a chance to come on and put your opinion across and your thoughts. I think there's going to be a podcast tomorrow night. Once again, keep an eye on our Twitter page for updates on that. Following Aston's brilliant monologue there, the thing that I leave you with is, what do we think of Tottenham?
Shit.
Absolute shit.